Although T-drill can mechanically form T-fittings in stainless steel as well as copper, all the way up to a 34-inch outlet on a 60-inch run, this training video will demonstrate the correct way to operate a T-drill on copper tube of up to 4-inch diameter. It does not matter whether it is a Model T50, which has not been made since 1987, or the newest generation, the T60. The basic operation is the same. All models are widely used to mechanically form T-fittings on plumbing, HVAC, refrigeration, fire sprinkler, and service projects. Both new construction and repiping are valid applications. If your T-drill is a Model T50, T55, TD55, or T60, it will mechanically form T-fittings from 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch up to 4-inch by 2-inch on M, L, or K copper tubing. Line size Ts are possible from 1/2 inch to 2-inch with the models we just mentioned. At the end of this training video, instruction will be given on the use of the models T35, which have a maximum size capability of 2 by 1 1/4 inch Ts. Each carrying case includes all the components required to mechanically form the T-fitting sizes previously mentioned. This video is also included in the case. In addition to the training video, there are 3 other ways to refresh your memory on how to properly operate the T-drill. In the lid of each case is a capacity and instruction chart. Refer to the appropriate legend number and follow the instructions. The instruction manual can also be referenced, or call the service department at T-drill toll-free at 1-800-554-2730. Although T-drill heads come from the factory pre-adjusted, at some point an adjustment of the forming pins will be necessary. This is made easier by the use of the sizing gauges. The size of the T-drill head is stamped on the bottom of the base plate. The sizing gauge and rings will also have dimensions marked on them. The cutting edges of the T-drill heads are very sharp, so use caution. To adjust the forming pins, first extend them to their fully open position by holding the T-drill head in one hand and pushing the drill core up, turning it to the right. When the forming pins are fully extended, turn the T-drill head over and, using the 3mm hex wrench provided with the T-drill package, loosen the 2 set screws on the back of the T-drill head 1/2 turn. By holding the base plate stationary and turning the cone-shaped cover just slightly, you can see how the forming pins extend and retract for adjustment. Retract the forming pins about halfway. Now place the T-drill head, with the pins only partially extended, into the appropriate gauge. Turn the base plate clockwise while holding the cone-shaped cover in a stationary position. At this point, the forming pins should be pressing tightly against the sides of the gauge. While keeping tension on both the base plate and the cone-shaped cover to eliminate any springback, tighten the set screws using the 3mm hex wrench. Do not over-torque the set screw when tightening. Once this adjustment is made, another should not be necessary for several hundred outlets. To chuck the T-drill head into the T-drill, point the drive unit upright. Turn the chuck ring counterclockwise and drop in the shank of the T-drill head. Let go of the chuck ring. It may be necessary to raise the T-drill head 1/8 of an inch while turning it to allow the T-drill head to chuck properly. It will make an audible click when it chucks. If the forming pins on the T-drill head are not already extended, pull the cone-shaped cover back towards the drill core and turn the T-drill head to the left or counterclockwise to extend the forming pins. Use the T-drill lubrication applicator to put a small amount of lubricant on each forming pin and each cutting surface. This also cleans away any copper fragments that may have adhered to the forming pins from the previous outlet. This should be done for each T that is created. If need be, lubrication can be applied straight from the bottle. Use only T-drill lubricant. To center the T-drill on the copper tube, Place one support foot on either side of the tube and twist the T-drill to the left. Shift the speed indicator to position number 2. Place your left thumb on the thumb guard and drill the pilot hole. After the drill stops, pull back on the T-drill head and turn it counterclockwise. This extends the forming pins. You will hear an audible click when the forming pins are fully extended. For some size outlets, the instruction chart will tell you to use the slow speed. Engage the feed mechanism. It may be necessary to bump the trigger in order to engage this lever. The power legs will push away from the tube as the outlet is automatically formed. Maintain some pressure towards the tube. Do not help the T-drill form the outlet by pulling it away from the tube. If you do, an egg-shaped outlet will be the result. To comply with code and specification, ream or deburr the branch tube. Select the appropriate branch size die on the tube end notcher. Rotate that die until it is opposite the base plate for maximum leverage. Notice the bearings at the bottom of the handle. They should always be in the direction of the long part of the base plate. To be in compliance with code and specification, the tube end notcher and dimpler must be used on each branch tube. Insert the reamed branch tube into the proper die size. With the bearings at the bottom of the handle pointed toward the base plate, push the handle down toward the base plate. This will simultaneously cut a notch in the branch tube that matches the curve of the run tube and place 2 external dimples above each notch. One dimple acts as a depth stop and the other solely as a flow indicator or point of inspection. Rotate the tube 180 degrees, lining up the dimples already made with the set screws in the holder pin. Again, push the handle down toward the base plate. Your branch tube is now ready for insertion into the outlet. Although the T-drill lubricant is vegetable-based and environmentally friendly, excess lubricant should be wiped away. Sandcloth or Scotch-Brite should be used to clean the interior of the outlet prior to insertion of the branch tube. When the branch tube is inserted in the run tube, make sure that the dimples are in line with the run of the tube. The first dimple, which acts as a depth stop, rests on top of the rim of the outlet that has been mechanically formed. The second dimple acts as a point of inspection and flow indicator that is necessary for compliance with code. This also creates the only joint on the market that can be inspected after it has been installed. On all copper tube above 2-inch diameter, it is very important to anneal the area where the outlet is to be formed to a dull red. You may want to go ahead and pre-anneal several areas where outlets will be formed and come back to work on a cool spot later. The T-drills that have the capability of forming outlets on tubing up to 4-inch come with a counterplate. Using it will make your job easier when you are working on 2 1/2, 3, and 4-inch tubing. The chain and wing nuts secure the counterplate on the tube. The notches in the tube support correspond with the tabs on the counterplate. Secure the T-drill on the counterplate, matching the tabs with the notches, and drill the pilot hole at high speed until the T-drill head penetrates the tube wall. If you are working off of a long extension cord, at this point it may be necessary to shift to low speed, especially on 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and 2-inch outlets. Although you will continue to apply steady pressure, allow the T-drill head to do the cutting for you so that you will get maximum life from the T-drill head cutting surface. Once the pilot hole is drilled, Notice that most of the copper from the pilot hole pigtails away from the tube. Later, when the outlet is complete, remember that in order to conform with code and specification, it is important to retrieve or flush out any copper fragments in the tube, along with other debris that may have accumulated during installation. Next, extend the forming pins by pulling back on the T-drill head and turning it counterclockwise until you hear the click. That indicates the forming pins are fully extended. Next, shift the speed selector to slow speed and engage the feed mechanism. It is possible that each of these functions may require a bump of the trigger. Pull the trigger on the T-drill and form the outlet. Keep the T-drill steady to assure a high-quality outlet. After the outlet is formed, wipe off excess lubrication and use sandcloth or Scotch-Brite to clean the T. Ream, notch, and dimple the branch tube and line up the dimples with the run of the tube. Braze the joint. If an outlet larger than 2 inch is needed, or if you need to work on copper tubing over 4 inch, the plus 100 is the answer. It will form outlets 2 inch to 4 inch on M, L, or K copper, 2 1/2 inch to 8 inch in diameter. When a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch T is needed in 2 1/2, 3, or 4 inch tube, it is necessary to form a 1 inch T and then notch and dimple a 1 inch by 1/2 or 3/4 inch fitting by copper reducer. The reason for this is that the clearance between the forming pins and the cone-shaped cover on the 1/2 and 3/4 inch T-drill head is less than the tube wall thickness. The models T35 operate in the same manner as the models you just learned to use, with just a few exceptions. First, these models have one speed, fast. The maximum run tube size they can be used on is 2 inches. The maximum outlet size is 1 1/4 inches. If used beyond these maximum capabilities, severe damage will result. Important points to remember. Anneal the area where the outlet is to be formed on all tube over 2 inches. Use the counterplate on all tube over 2 inches. Lubricate T-drill heads before drilling each pilot hole and forming the outlet. Use a 1 inch fitting by copper reducer when forming a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch outlet on 2 1/2 inch, 3 inch, or 4 inch tube. Ream the ends of all branch tubes for compliance with code and specification. Notch and dimple all branch tubes for compliance with code and specification. Braze all joints created by your T-drill. Flush all lines for compliance with code and specification. Send your T-drill heads only to T-Drill Industries Incorporated for resharpening. For additional assistance, call T-Drill toll-free at 1-800-554-2730 or visit our website at www.t-drill.com. And thank you for using T-Drill.